So I'm back from the 2022 NAMM show in Anaheim, California. I'm pretty fried, as you might expect. This year I went with my 26-year-old son, Elijah. Eli is a composer and music producer in his own right, with very different tastes in music than mine. He also handles inventory and a bunch of front-of-house responsibilities at a music school, Starland School of Music. And it's a school with a retail store that serves hundreds of its students. So Eli and I go to NAMM. We had absolutely no agenda, no expectations. We didn't have to meet anyone. We didn't have to do any particular business, buy anything, nothing. After we got there, we looked at the show map and we realized that most of the companies and reasons that we thought we were going weren't even there this year. So Fender, no booth. Gibson, Paul Reed Smith. I play a Heritage guitar. That's the legacy company of Gibson that still makes guitars in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The Heritage wasn't there. Harmony, which is the reignited brand, also being built in the same factory as the Heritage, also not there. So disappointing, at least at first. But Eli and I said to each other, look, let's just make the best of this and explore what is here, and hopefully, we'll make some cool guitar gear and recording discoveries along the way. And actually, we had an amazing time. And it was all about synchronicity, just being in the right place at the right time. So stick with me and you get to hear about it. So I knew from being at NAMM in the past that it's an assault on the senses, right? Especially the ears. So we planned our trip for just 2 days on the show floor because I knew that's all I could take. So here's the idea. Day one, Friday, would just be scouting, right? We were going to try to scan everything, see all the booths, and just decide what was worthy of a return visit on day two, where we could kind of go deeper and really play stuff and test stuff. So this year's NAMM was quite a bit smaller than pre-COVID shows, but still these convention halls are so big. Check this out. They're so big that you could easily go to this show and never cross paths with people that are there, right? You could think, I'm going to run into so-and-so. Never see them. You probably wouldn't, actually. But Eli and I were totally in the zone. I mean, this was like Synchronicity Central, where we just kept beating the odds over and over and kept running into the people that we wanted to see. So I was there representing this YouTube channel and guitar discoveries, and I just hoped that I might encounter, one or two of my favorite YouTubers. So let me tell you about some of my favorite encounters and discoveries from this NAMM 2022. So day one, we're at the Ultimate Ears booth. This is the company that really dominates the pro market for in-ear monitors. I myself have been an Ultimate Ears artist since, I think, 2007, so about 15 years. So the way that happened was I sang and played at a corporate beach party of theirs, and the company president at the time, Mindy Harvey, gave me a pair of their top-of-the-line custom in-ears. I use them all the time still. Back then, it was UE10s that were the top of the line. And these little buds totally changed my life as a live performer. I actually haven't used anything but in-ears ever since. So thankful for that. Now, my video software company, Voodoo Video Marketing, used to do business with Ultimate Ears. We did a customer experience video series for them, and it was tied into their ordering and their fulfillment systems. It sent these cool videos to explain how the products worked and how you use them, and it actually really helped improve their customer satisfaction. So it actually is a case study that I included in this bestseller I wrote about video marketing called Video Growth Hacking. My main contact at UE back then was a marketer and product manager named Paul Manfrini. Paul and I were close friends. We used to play guitars and sing together, and we actually had a 3-part harmony band called Soul Folk, along with my wife, Bara Waters, and we played all over Southern California. So after Bara and I moved north to the Bay Area, which was 2010, Paul left Ultimate Ears. He worked with some other tech companies, and we almost lost touch. But then this past Friday at NAMM, Eli and I show up at the UE booth. Who's there but Paul Manfrini? He's come full circle. He's there at the booth, and he's now a consultant for UE. So we had this house on fire of fun catching up, And while we're standing there, I realized, hey, this is a 3/4 band reunion. Bar's not here, but the three of us are, and it was because Eli had played drums for us on a bunch of gigs, including a really fun one at Oakland City Center. Down below his knees, hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease come together right now over me, over me. So an unexpected, synchronistic band reunion. And Paul and I actually made plans to reunite somewhere down the line with our guitars in hand. And he gave us these cool UE t-shirts. I don't know if you can see the back, but check this out. It's like optical illusion, but you can see UE. If you're close to it, you can't see it, but if you're far away from it, you can. So another prejudice challenging experience for me was the Taylor booth. And because for reasons I really can't explain, I've just never been a Taylor fan. I've played quite a few, and they just haven't really spoken to me. So, I know they can be good recording guitars. They've got strong upper mid-range. It's just usually not the character that I love in an acoustic. But I really appreciated Taylor's booth and their logical, educational approach to how they presented their whole line of guitars. They printed this beautiful wood and steel magazine, and it's got explanations of terminology, body shapes, tone woods, and it really explains their entire line, how it's structured, all of that. And I'll admit, I really did like some of the guitars I played at their booth. There was a pair from the American Dream series, not expensive, really nice. Eli loved the T5 acoustic electric. So first thing on day 2, we're walking out of a coffee shop and we literally bump into Chris Van de Viver. He's got a YouTube channel called Why Logic Pro Rules. So this guy is my sort of features and benefits guru for, the DAW that I use almost every day. And we had this great chat. We were comparing notes about things, talking about series and how we do stuff on our channels. And I resolved that I was going to connect with him after the show. I'm hoping to do an interview with him. But if you use either GarageBand or Logic Pro, which is kind of GarageBand's big brother, or if you're even thinking about it, you really should check out Chris's channel. I mean, he is so low-key, he's incredibly informative, kind of blow your mind. So I've got a glow on from that chance meeting with Chris, and Eli and I launch into our day 2, which is going to be our deep dive day, right? So we're visiting a few new booths and then revisiting the booths we scoped out the day before. So one unexpected pleasure was this fairly large and much more quiet and relaxing booth from ESP. And they've got all the quintessential Metallica and kind of metalhead guitars right next to all these surprisingly fine Takamine acoustics. Now I have my own Takamine 12-string and I really like it. But I've always wondered how a Japanese company like Takamine managed to dig its way into the country market, which is all kind of ultra American pride and all that, right? Japanese company in country. But I really feel like I figured it out while I was playing the guitars at their booth, because these guitars are very high quality, they're incredibly consistent, and the prices are really fair. Like, for example, I played a Glenn Frey signature model, and I have to say it easily rivaled a Martin for about half the price. It was a Dreadnought. So in my humble opinion, NAMM is both heaven and hell for guitarists. Heaven because there are all these awesome, amazing, cool, gorgeous new guitars. Most of them you can just pick up and play, which is great. But it's also hell because it's generally so loud in there that you can't hear any of the subtleties of what you're playing. So usually you just kind of have to put your ear to the guitar and judge it that way. So we stop at a bunch of random booths. I check out Cloud Microphones because I'm a fan of their inline preamps, which basically take low output mics like an SM57 and raise the output level and make them sound incredible. Eli hits the Hal Leonard booth because he's scoping out books for the students at his school. And then we go over to the Artesia Pro booth. I've never heard of Artesia Pro, but they've got these cool drum sets. They're like electronic drum kits called efnote. And he plays a bunch of them, and they're really impressive. So then it's time for us to go back to the Martin Guitars booth, right? This is one of the larger booths. It's got everything you'd probably expect from America's oldest guitar company. And so I am loosely, not urgently, in the market for my dream acoustic guitar. I'm sort of always in the market. And this is the one guitar that I'll play to death, into my golden years. And for me, the standard against which I measure any acoustic guitar is a Martin MK40 HD. This is a Mark Knopfler signature model made around 2001. I happen to play one that was owned by the guy I mentioned earlier, Paul Manfrini. It's a perfect guitar, or my perfect guitar. So I always hope that I'm going to pick up a D28 or a 35 or some other Martin model, and it's going to hit me, it's going to make me love it like the Knopfler. But so far, I just haven't found that guitar. And the ones there at the NAMM show were typically excellent, a little stiff to play like most Martins, and my ironic favorite of the show. So it's a Martin J45 known as a DSS-17 Whiskey Sunset. And I'll be darned if it doesn't sound and play like a Gibson. But built in Nazareth by Martin. And the price is about $1,700, which is pretty low for Martin. It's a darn good deal. So while we're at the Martin booth, who shows up but the ultra creative Paul Davids, right? One of the best, most popular YouTube guitar and video geeks. And I'm like, more synchronicity. So we move on from Martin, and my eye catches the Eastman booth. Now they've got a massive band instrument display and a little guitar shop next to it. So I want to find out how Eastman gets away with like $1,500 price tags on Chinese-made acoustic guitars. So I pick up a few, and right away I can tell. Great build, beautiful materials, excellent quality control. And then I turn around and notice there's a small display of guitars that are handmade in Maine by Dana Bourgeois and his team. And the first one I really am drawn to is called the Banjo Killer. This is a beautiful slope shoulder guitar. It's got a bear claw spruce top, figured mahogany back and sides. Just beautiful. And I'll be darned if it isn't the first and only NAMM guitar that I pick up, play, and say, oh my gosh, this is a contender for my perfect acoustic. This thing has balanced tone. It's easy to play. It's beautiful to look at. It's not blingy. I mean, this is exactly what I love. So I'm literally falling in love with a hand-built guitar. It's signed by Dana Bourgeois himself. It's got a $6,700 price tag that I really can't or shouldn't afford. But I can feel that I'm at a high vibration playing this thing. And while I'm in that, moment of heaven playing that Bourgeois, Tim Pierce walks in. Another guitarist extraordinary. He's got a great YouTube channel, and he's there at the Eastman booth with me, right? And he's getting his own questions answered. He seems to be as impressed with what they're doing as I am. So next we're back to the Ibanez booth, which we'd seen the day before. This is one of Eli's favorites, right? He loves styles like metal and math rock, and he is really happy to see that Ibanez has a new low-cost line of Strat-style guitars. They're in the $500 range. They mirror the Japan-built models that cost about 5 times more. And who's there at Ibanez? Another YouTube guitar god, Pete Thorn. So I hang out with Pete for a few minutes, I give him my thanks and compliments, and onward. Right away we discover another new favorite, Mule Resophonic guitars from Saginaw, Michigan. That's my old stomping grounds, Grand Rapids, Michigan. We get into this long conversation with their luthier, the main guy, Matt Ike. We find out that he learned the whole business from working at another great acoustic builder, Huss and Dalton in Virginia. And Eli and I had just been talking about Huss and Dalton the night before, and then boom, we run into Matt Ike and find out he worked there. So Mule is right next door to Black Mountain, where Cole McBride of Vancouver, British Columbia, is innovating spring-loaded thumb picks, which I love and use all the time. He also makes partial slides. He makes full slides, which I got while I was there. And he's developing a top secret patented pedal that's coming out later this year. Now, I have no idea what that pedal is going to do, but I know Cole's an innovator. I know it'll be cool. So we keep wandering through pedal land and through all of these different areas. We're just about done. A couple things caught our eye. The Wild Guitar booth had some really cool designs. The Reverend Guitar booth, beautiful designs and paint jobs and all of that. Before we go, there's got to be one more moment of synchronicity, right? I see Pete Thorn again coming around a corner, and this time he's standing there with none other than Rhett Shull, another of my favorite YouTubers, one of the most helpful guys out there. So like I said, for this father and son duo, NAMM 2022 was really all about synchronicity. We got to rub elbows with the musicians and educators who really matter most to me. So all in all, this was like 2 days of dazed, exhausting, and exhilarating guitar and recording discoveries. All right, check out this video next, and thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.